A 150-pound timber wolf is nature's perfect killing machine. Bone-crushing jaws, ruthless pack tactics, primordial instincts forged over millions of years of brutal Ice Age evolution. A wolf does not fight for sport. It fights to eat. It fights to survive. Imagine a solitary dog standing alone in a blinding snowstorm, facing down this apex predator. The wolf lowers its head, it bares its teeth, it lunges, and the dog walks away. You've been told your entire life that no domestic dog can survive a one-on-one fight with a full-grown timber wolf. You were told that thousands of years of domestication made dogs soft. You were told they lost their edge. You were lied to. Mankind didn't just domesticate the dog to fetch sticks and sit by the fireplace. When our ancestors looked out into the pitch-black wilderness, they saw monsters staring back. So they decided to engineer monsters of their own. We created living, breathing, biological weapons designed to look the devil in the eye and make him blink. Over thousands of years, across freezing mountain peaks and blistering deserts, humans selectively bred gladiators. Dogs with skin like leather. Dogs with pain receptors that simply do not work. Dogs that feel absolutely no fear. And later in this video, I'm going to show you a dog with a bite force so unnaturally powerful, it actually rivals a full-grown African lion. A dog that doesn't just fight wolves, but actively hunts them down. These are the 10 dogs that can defeat a wolf. But before we begin, we are Meme Dog TV. Subscribe and let's begin. Number 10. The Irish Wolfhound. We start with a giant. Standing nearly 3 feet tall at the shoulder, the Irish Wolfhound looks like it stepped directly out of a dark medieval myth. If you see one of these dogs walking down the street today, they seem gentle, clumsy even. But do not let the calm demeanor fool you. Beneath that wiry hair and towering 180-pound frame lies the DNA of an ancient canine assassin. Thousands of years ago, ancient Celtic kings had a massive problem. The deep bogs and dark forests of Ireland were overrun by packs of massive wolves. They were slaughtering livestock and terrorizing villages. The Celts needed a solution, so they bred a dog specifically designed for one singular violent purpose: to hunt wolves. But here's the crazy part. They didn't just hunt wolves, they committed absolute genocide. The Irish Wolfhound was so terrifyingly efficient at its job that by the late 1700s they had hunted the native Irish wolf to total absolute extinction. There are no wolves left in Ireland, and the Irish Wolfhound is the reason why. To understand how they did this, you have to understand how a wolf fights. A wolf relies heavily on intimidation. It wants you to feel small. It wants you to panic. But when a wolf looks up, way up, at an Irish Wolfhound, the intimidation game is completely over. The Wolfhound is classified as a sight hound. This means they don't track by smell. They track by locking their eyes onto their prey and chasing it down at blistering speeds. When an Irish Wolfhound spots a wolf, it uses its massive, galloping stride to run the predator down. It doesn't stop to bark, it doesn't posture, it crashes into the wolf like a freight train, grabs it by the back of the neck, and pins it to the earth. The sheer leverage of a 3-foot-tall dog pressing down on a wolf's spine makes it impossible for the predator to escape. But if you think size and speed are all it takes to beat a wolf, just wait. Because the next dog on our list relies on something much more dangerous: pure, unadulterated rage. Number 9. The Cane Corso. Enter the Roman war dog. The Cane Corso is 110 pounds of armor-plated muscle wrapped in a thick, dark coat. To understand the Corso, you have to look back at the blood-soaked sands of the Roman Colosseum. The Romans didn't want a hunting dog. They wanted a soldier. Centuries ago, the Romans strapped heavy iron spikes to the collars of these dogs. They strapped buckets of flaming oil to their backs, and they sent them charging directly into enemy front lines. This isn't just a dog, it's a loaded weapon. A timber wolf has a bite force of about 400 pounds per square inch. That is enough to easily snap a human femur in half. But the cane corso? It boasts a bone-splintering 700 psi bite force, nearly double that of the wolf. A wolf fights to survive. A corso fights to conquer. When a wild predator encounters a cane corso, the dog's posture instantly changes. Its muscles tense, its chest expands, and it transforms into an impenetrable wall of muscle. If a wolf makes the mistake of getting close, the corso doesn't dodge. It doesn't try to evade the teeth. It tanks the hit. It absorbs the impact of the wolf's strike, using its incredibly thick skin and dense muscle mass as a shield. And once the wolf is within striking distance, the corso counters. It clamps its massive jaws onto the wolf's throat, locking on like a mechanical vice grip. The sheer width of the corso's jaw means that when it bites down, it crushes the windpipe instantly. The wolf is suffocated before it even realizes it made a fatal mistake. But a corso, as tough as it is, still feels pain. What if you bred a dog that simply didn't? Number 8. The Dogo Argentino. We leave the ruins of Rome and travel to the unforgiving, jagged peaks of the Andes Mountains in South America. Meet the Dogo Argentino. Picture this, a 100-pound beast of pure, stark white muscle. A dog that can run 25 miles per hour and leap 6 feet into the air from a complete standstill. In the 1920s, a brilliant but ruthless Argentine doctor named Antonio Nores Martinez decided he wanted to create the ultimate big-game hunting dog. He needed a creature capable of hunting wild boars and mountain lions in the deep wilderness. He crossed 10 different breeds, including massive mastiffs, agile boxers, and the legendary, now extinct, Cordoba fighting dog. The result was a masterpiece of biological engineering. And this is where things get genuinely terrifying. The creator of the Dogo Argentino specifically bred them to have deadened pain receptors. Let that sink in. A wolf tries to win a fight by inflicting slashing, agonizing wounds that force its prey to retreat. Wolves are masters of the hit-and-run tactic. They bite, they rip, and they back away, waiting for their opponent to bleed out or surrender to the agony. But when a wolf bites a Dogo Argentino, the Dogo doesn't retreat, it doesn't whimper, it doesn't even care. The pain only fuels its aggression. Because the dog cannot feel the debilitating effects of the bite, it pushes through the damage with a terrifying robotic persistence. To a wolf, this makes absolutely no sense. The predator's entire evolutionary strategy falls apart. The Dogo becomes a ghost in the snow, a relentless phantom that will fight until its heart literally stops beating. It pins the wolf down, completely ignoring whatever damage it is taking, and delivers a lethal strike to the jugular. Number 7. The Boerboel. Let's leave the freezing snow and travel to the blistering, unforgiving heat of the South African savanna. Meet the Boerboel. To survive in this landscape, a dog cannot afford to be weak. It has to defend isolated homesteads from some of the most lethal predators on planet Earth: leopards, spotted hyenas, and troops of vicious baboons. When you first look at a Boerboel, it looks thick, it looks heavy, it looks almost incredibly clumsy. Weighing up to 180 pounds, with a chest as wide as a rain barrel and a massive, blocky head. What happened next shocked everyone who first witnessed this breed in action. Early European settlers in South Africa watched in pure disbelief as these thick, clumsy dogs suddenly exploded into motion. They watched as Boerboels chased down lightning-fast baboons, primates known for their deadly razor-sharp fangs, and snapped their necks in seconds. The Boerboel is a 180-pound anvil that moves like a heat-seeking missile. A timber wolf is incredibly agile. It uses footwork and speed to outmaneuver larger prey. But if a Boerboel lands a single rushing shoulder strike on a wolf, the fight is over. The Boerboel is built with an incredibly dense skeletal structure designed to absorb massive impacts. It uses its massive chest to hit the wolf like a battering ram, shattering the predator's ribs on impact. Once the wolf is on the ground, the Boerboel uses its sheer mass to pin the predator to the dirt. It turns a wild animal fight into a heavy grappling match. The wolf, trapped under nearly 200 pounds of thrashing muscle, mathematically cannot win. Number 6. The Tosa Inu. We move now into the deep shadows of Japan. The Tosa Inu is the Japanese gladiator, the sumo wrestler of the canine world. In the late 19th century, Japanese breeders wanted to create the ultimate, unbeatable fighting dog. They took their native Shikoku hunting dogs and crossed them with massive Western breeds, bulldogs, mastiffs, Great Danes, and pointers. The result was a genetic cocktail weighing up to 200 pounds. The Tosa Inu was bred for one thing and one thing only: illegal, high-stakes, to-the-death dogfighting in underground rings. But here is the most terrifying thing about the Tosa Inu. It fights in dead silence. In Japanese dogfighting, there are strict rules. If a dog barks, it is disqualified. If a dog growls, it is disqualified. If a dog whimpers, it is disqualified. Therefore, over generations, the Tosa was selectively bred to suppress all vocalizations. Imagine a 200-pound, heavily muscled beast charging at you without making a single sound. No barking, no growling, no posturing, just dead, eerie silence. A wolf relies heavily on loud, chaotic snarling to confuse and terrify its opponent. It uses acoustic warfare to measure the fear and stamina of its prey. The Tosa doesn't care. It breathes, it stares, and it breaks bones. This eerie, dead silent aggression completely shorts out a wolf's natural instincts. The wolf expects a screaming, panicked animal. Instead, it is met with a cold, calculated assassin that doesn't waste a single ounce of energy on making noise. By the time the wolf realizes it's fighting a silent killer, the Tosa is already locked onto its windpipe, bringing the wolf to the ground in total quiet. The dogs you've seen so far are gladiators. They are warriors. But the remaining 5 dogs on this list are something else entirely. They aren't just fighters. They are ancient genetic nightmares bred over millennia in the harshest environments on Earth. And the dog sitting at number 1, it possesses a physical trait that completely defies the laws of biology. Let's keep going. Number 5. The Presa canario. Originating from the Canary Islands, which literally translates to the islands of the dogs, the Presa canario is the heavy enforcer of the dog world. With a broad, remarkably square head, a thick, muscular neck, and a tiger brindle coat, this dog looks like a stone gargoyle brought to life. Historically, they were bred by Spanish colonists to guard massive livestock operations and, more importantly, to completely eradicate packs of wild, feral dogs that roamed the islands. The Presa canario is what is known as a catch dog. Its job isn't to herd. Its job is to hunt, catch, and hold down wild beasts until the hunter arrives. When a Presa canario bites, its jaw doesn't lock because of some biological mechanism in the bone. It locks out of sheer, psychotic willpower. A wolf fights using those hit-and-run tactics we talked about. Nip, slash, back away, bleed the opponent out. But the Presa canario doesn't play that game. It's a street brawler. It has an incredibly low center of gravity, meaning it is almost impossible to knock off its feet. When a wolf lunges, the Presa rushes in. It willingly takes the damage. It ignores the slashing teeth and plunges straight into the wolf's guard to secure a grip on the face or the neck. Once those massive jaws close, the fight enters its final stage. The Presa will not let go. It doesn't matter how much the wolf thrashes. It doesn't matter how badly the wolf scratches. The Presa drops its body weight to the ground, anchoring the wolf to the floor. The wolf will completely exhaust itself trying to break free, slowly suffocating under 130 pounds of dense, unyielding Canary Island muscle. Number 4. The Tibetan mastiff. When the famous explorer Marco Polo traveled to the remote corners of Asia in the 13th century, he wrote in his journal about a terrifying beast. He described a creature as tall as a donkey with a voice like a lion. He wasn't talking about a mythical monster. He was talking about the Tibetan mastiff. This is the mythic guardian of the high Himalayas. Weighing up to 160 pounds, it is wrapped in a massive, thick, impenetrable mane of dark fur. For over 3,000 years, nomadic tribes have chained these massive dogs outside their tents to protect their families from snow leopards, bears, and packs of starving wolves. And this is where things get interesting. If you look at a Tibetan mastiff, they look majestic, fluffy even. But that beautiful, thick mane, it's not just there to keep them warm in the freezing sub-zero altitudes. It is biological armor. It is nature's Kevlar. When a wolf goes in for the kill, it instinctually aims for the jugular vein in the neck. It is hardwired into their DNA. Go for the throat, crush the windpipe, end the fight. But when a wolf bites the neck of a Tibetan mastiff, it gets nothing but a mouthful of thick, coarse, impenetrable hair. The wolf's teeth literally cannot reach the dog's skin. The jaws snap shut, expecting meat and bone, but find only an endless wall of fur. Confused, frustrated, and gagging on hair, the wolf loses its momentum. It leaves its own neck wide open. And the Tibetan mastiff, a dog that has guarded nomadic camps from apex predators since the Bronze Age, takes full advantage. With a bone-rattling roar that echoes through the mountain valleys, it brings its massive jaws down on the wolf's unprotected spine. The sheer brute strength of this ancient guardian crushes the wolf's skull without a second thought. Number 3. The Alabai. Also known as the Central Asian shepherd, the Alabai is a creature shaped not by human hands, but by the ruthless forces of nature. For 4,000 years, nomadic tribes traversing the endless barren steppes of Central Asia have relied on one creature to protect their flocks from packs of starving, desperate wolves. This isn't a pet. It is an independent, free-thinking apex predator in its own right. In its native lands, it is known by a chilling title, Volkodav. Translated into English, it means the wolf crusher. What happened next in the history of this breed shocked the Soviet military. During the height of the Cold War, the Soviet Union tried to train the Alabai for military use. They wanted to turn them into guard dogs for secret installations. They completely failed. The dog was too independent, too savage. You don't give commands to an Alabai, you negotiate with it. They refused to blindly follow orders because for 4,000 years they had to make life-or-death decisions on the frozen steppes without a human telling them what to do. When a normal dog spots a wolf, it usually barks to alert its master. It stands its ground defensively. When an Alabai spots a wolf, it doesn't wait to be attacked. It actively hunts the wolf down. They're completely fearless and possess absolutely zero instinct for self-preservation. A wolf relies on pack dynamics, hierarchy, and calculated risk, but the Alabai bows to absolutely no one. If a pack of wolves approaches a flock of sheep, the Alabai will not wait for the wolves to make the first move. It will plunge headfirst into the pack, violently thrashing and biting. It turns the hunters into the hunted. Its thick, loose skin allows it to twist and turn, even if a wolf grabs hold of its flank, allowing the Alabai to whip around and bite back with devastating force. Number 2, the Caucasian shepherd. If you want to survive a bear attack in the deep forests of Russia, you bring a high-powered rifle. If you don't have a rifle, you bring a Caucasian shepherd. Weighing in at well over 200 pounds, this dog is a literal mountain of rage and fur. Famously used to guard the perimeter of highly secure Soviet gulag prisons, the Caucasian shepherd is less like a dog and more like a domesticated grizzly bear. Their guarding instinct is so incredibly high that they are known to attack strangers on sight if they believe their territory is being threatened. But here's the crazy part. When a timber wolf sees a Caucasian shepherd in the wild, the wolf doesn't engage, it runs. Wolves are highly intelligent, calculating predators. They do risk assessments. They look for easy prey. The sheer, overwhelming size, the booming, earth-shaking roar, and the raw, unhinged aggression of the Caucasian shepherd trigger a deep, primal fear in the wolf's brain. The wolf's instincts scream at it to retreat. But if they do clash, it's an absolute bloodbath. The Caucasian shepherd doesn't just rely on its teeth, it fights like a bear. It uses its massive 200-pound frame to stand on its hind legs and body slam the wolf to the ground. The sheer kinetic impact of 200 pounds of dense bone and muscle crashing down is enough to snap a wolf's ribs or spine instantly. It is the ultimate brute force weapon. No finesse, no agility, just pure, unstoppable, terrifying power. Number 1. The kangal. This is the undisputed king, the apex of canine evolution, the ultimate masterpiece of selective breeding. Bred in the rugged, treacherous highlands of the Sivas region of Turkey, the kangal is the only dog on planet Earth that wolves actively avoid at all costs. Remember earlier when I mentioned a dog with a bite force that actually rivals a full-grown African lion? Let's look at the numbers. A human being has a bite force of about 160 pounds per square inch. A massive timber wolf has a bite force of about 400 psi. A fully grown male African lion, the king of the jungle, sits at around 650 psi. The kangal possesses a confirmed, scientifically measured, world record bite force of 743 pounds per square inch. Let that sink in. The kangal bites significantly harder than a lion. When a kangal fights a wolf, it doesn't just outmuscle it, it destroys it using a terrifying signature move that has been perfected over hundreds of generations. Despite weighing up to 140 pounds, the kangal is incredibly aerodynamic. It is capable of running at speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. When a kangal spots a wolf threatening its flock, it accelerates to top speed. It doesn't slow down as it approaches. It maintains its velocity and delivers a devastating high-speed chest bump directly into the side of the wolf. The physics of this attack are staggering. The sheer kinetic energy of 140 pounds of muscle moving at 35 miles per hour creates an impact so violent it violently shatters the wolf's ribs and sends the predator flying off its feet. Before the wolf can even process what just hit it, before it can even attempt to stand back up, the kangal is on top of it, and it delivers that bone-crushing 743 psi bite directly to the throat. The fight doesn't last minutes, it lasts seconds. Game over. The timber wolf is undeniably nature's masterpiece. It is a perfect, untamed killer forged by millions of brutal, unforgiving evolution. It conquered the ice age, it conquered the forests, it conquered the night. But thousands of years ago, human beings looked out into that dark night and decided we didn't want to be afraid of the shadows anymore. We didn't want to hide from the howling in the woods. So we took the wolf, we broke it down, we stripped away its wildness, we shaped its body, we molded its mind, and we forged something even more terrifying to protect our fires. We built guardians that could look the ultimate predator in the face and absolutely destroy it. We turned the monsters of the forest into our greatest protectors. Which one would you want standing next to you in the dark? Also, if you want to find out about 10 dogs breeds that make German Shepherd look like puppies, click the video on the screen right now to enjoy the video. Thanks for watching, and give your dog an extra pat for me. They've earned it.